The following presentation is brought to you by kmmedia.pro. Please visit kmmedia.pro for more information. Now stay right where you are as we present. Welcome to Positive Talk Radio, evolving ideas, one conversation at a time. Great guests, dynamic stories and interviews, plus new thoughts on a wide range of topics and concepts. I hope that you'll hang with me, Kevin McDonald, my friends, and of course, you. As together we work to understand why we are all here and what we can do to make our world a better place for all of us. To be happy, be kind, and live in peace together. Yep, that's Positive Talk Radio. To another episode of Positive Talk Radio. My name is Kevin McDonald. I'm your host. You can always go to positivetalkradio.net and find out all about us, what we're doing here, and all the episodes that we've compiled over time. And I'm looking forward to today's show as well. She's been on the show before, enjoyed her so much that we decided we had to have her back. Her name is Dr. Marni Foderaro. I actually said that right, I think.
Yes, you did.
Very, very good. And it's great to have you here. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, hi, Kevin. It's great to see you and have another conversation with you.
It really is. And over there, right next to you, over your left shoulder, is the title and the artwork of the first book that you wrote. But we have a lot of exciting news today because that is you've been busy since the last time we talked.
I have.
God Came to My Garage Sale is the title of that book, and that came out in 2019, and it's doing really, really quite well. You were just doing a book signing down in Florida, I believe it was.
Yeah. I was in Miami last week doing a book signing.
What's it like in Miami? I've never been there.
It's wonderful. Well, I was actually born there. But there are so many different parts of Miami, just like any big city. So you can have your small neighborhoods and you can have the big city part. And I just think it's great. I love traveling and I love meeting people wherever I go.
Which is awesome. Now let's talk about God Came to My Garage Sale. What was the motivation for the book and what's it about?
Well, it came about because I was in a life change. I was leaving a marriage after 27 years. I had to leave a beautiful home, a beautiful neighborhood, and downsize. And I had this garage sale, but instead of having any kind of feelings of negativity, sadness, anger, regret, revenge, nothing like that. I stayed true to the values that I've always had, which is that of love, goodness, being kind to one another, being honest, compassionate. And so I was in a state of gratitude right before the garage sale and during the garage sale, and some miracles really happened. Some spiritual miracles that, just changed the course of my life, honestly. And it really prompted me to do a lot of research into spirituality, into God, into signs and synchronicities that are out there. And because these experiences were so life-changing, I was compelled to write a book. And that authored, then I became the author of God Came to My Garage Sale.
And can you describe some of the synchronicities and things and some of the epiphanies? Because you were married for 27 years, and so you were not a child when you went through the changes in your life that led you to where you are today.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about what those synchronicities are and what you discovered about yourself and about others in the writing of your book?
Yeah, sure. Well, I should preface this that, I have an atheist background. I was really not exposed to organized religion or spirituality at all growing up.
So you need to explain that to me because I don't understand atheism because doesn't that mean that you don't believe in anything?
You don't believe in anything. Nope.
that when you're dead, you're dead. And
Yep. Yep. And that's it, and we don't have souls that go on, and we don't have an afterlife, and we don't have a divine power, a being, whether it's God or angels or anything like that. No, there was, and it wasn't like I consciously made the decision to be atheist. I just grew up that way. So I didn't know any other way. But then as I got older, especially in my college years, I became more agnostic, where I'm questioning these things. I'm really believing there has to be something more. When I even think about our human bodies and how miraculous they are with our systems, and you get a cut and then you get a scab, or that you can create another living being. I mean, it's just too miraculous for me to just believe that it's all just by chance. So I did slowly make my way originally towards religion, to organized religion, to check that out. And that served me well for a time, although I found a lot of hypocrisy in that kind of, you have to be in this one building to experience the divine. Where I really felt the divine was everywhere. It was within you, it was in me, it was in nature. And so I had experiences throughout my life, when I was older, with the church and with just my belief system. But I will tell you, it was a real pivotal time when I had the garage sale, and some of these more spiritual events happened that made me really question, is there more to this earth? And that led me on a path, I would say, more of spirituality.
I've talked about that quite a little bit, and it bears repeating that in many cases, in the people that I've talked to and the people in my own life, including myself, there seems to be two really relevant questions that that at one point in your life you're going to ask yourself. And the first one is this all there is?
Mhm,
Is this all I get? Is this all I get? I get this and that's it. And the other one is, why am I really here?
mhm.
What am I really here to do? And at one point in time, it's like our intuition wakes us up and says, you know, maybe you got to think about the deeper meaning of life and what you're doing, and why did you really come here? What is your motivation? Did you those questions attracted you to them as well, right?
Most definitely, most definitely. And it's not that I had the answers to all of them, but I sure was questioning.
Well, and that's part of that's the joy of the journey. Hey, that's a book. I
Yeah.
think we need to write it. That's now you. This will be your seventh book, which is the joy of the journey is to because we don't all have the answers, and we never will have the answers. But we can learn about how we can live our lives a little bit better and a little bit more joyful and a little bit more fun. So it is in the journey, and that's your journey that you're going on.
Yeah, definitely. And I believe that I have a journey. In fact, because I have that belief, it's enabled me to handle some of life's challenges and significant losses, leaving toxic relationships, or, trying to figure out why bad things happen to good people. And, it's all part of the journey. And the people and experiences that we have or meet along the way help form, who we really are, at the core of our soul. And it does take time, and um, even though you might think, well, gosh, I wasted how many years in this relationship, or if someone is not happy in their job, they may look at that really negatively. But really, even negative experiences, I think, can bring us towards the light, towards positivity. And it's almost like we need to experience, the differences between dark and light to really appreciate, where we are going and where we would like to go.
It's interesting that you say that, and I'll use a metaphor here, and that is I used to be in sales for like a long time. And when I would go on a call and the call was not successful, I would feel bad, and I would call that a bad experience. But then when the sale was successful, I would call that a good experience. But after all, it was all just an experience. But if I didn't have the negative ones, I wouldn't appreciate the positive ones. Does
Hmm.
that make sense?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, So, so even the job, like you said, that you didn't get, or that didn't go well, or the relationship that ended,
Oh,
terribly.
I've had lots of them.
you know, they those people and those experiences can actually be blessings to guide us
Yep.
on our path. And I just choose to look at all of my experiences through a lens of love, honesty, compassion, forgiveness, and goodness. And when you have that kind of outlook, you know you really can't be pulled down by so many negative forces that are out there. There are people that don't want you to succeed and don't want you to be happy. And we certainly, the last couple of years, have experienced such shock and negativity and fraud and corruption and things that are just mind-boggling how negative it is. But if we can try to still keep a positive outlook, I think we are better off, and we will be moving towards the positive, and eventually truth prevails in everything, whether it's relationships or whether it's in the narrative that we are meant, that we hear, that we are told. The truth eventually comes out, and you know there can be a lot of loss and pain along the way, but like we talked about before, it can also help us appreciate the joy and the good.
Well, and I think that you need to be on this show that I know of, and it's called Positive Talk Radio, because
Yeah.
you are just saying exactly what this show is about, which is why it's really cool to have you here, and I want to thank you for coming.
Well, thank you, Kevin. And it's really coming from the heart. And I really resonate with your mission, and really enjoyed our conversation before, and with Nathan. I don't know if Nathan is still around. Um, but we really connect because we have the same kind of outlook. And there are many positive people out there, but it's important to still have these conversations to help let others know that you know there is positivity out there, and it's not all negative, and there is hope. And even when you think you've lost everything, or things just haven't gone your way, it will turn around in time. Things will turn around.
It's all part of the journey
Yeah.
that we are all on. And again, without the and you were talking about relationships and the bad relationships that you've had, or I've had, or whatever. But it's the experience that we're learning through it. And I have come to realize, now that I'm a little more, seasoned,
Mhm.
I've come to realize that every relationship, it has value.
Yeah, and actually, you learn a lot about yourself in going through relationships and the ups and downs
Or no
of
kidding.
them. You learn a lot about yourself. And then at some point, you learn to put up some boundaries in a positive way, where you realize, hey, you have value, you have worth, and there's some things that you'll tolerate, and there are other things that, you're just not interested in. You'd rather surround yourself with like-minded people that, are honest and loving, and have good intentions.
Which is a really important part of where you're going in your life, because if you surround yourself with people that have lower energy or vibrating at a lower level, they can drag you down. And so just bless them and move on.
Right, right. Actually, I say prayers for my abuser. I say prayers for negative people everywhere because they need our prayers. They're really unhappy, people if they need to live in such negativity and with such malice. That's not the way I choose to live. And so they do need our prayers. And I sincerely do pray for goodness to prevail at all times.
Especially praying for your abuser
Mhm,
takes
yeah,
quite a little bit of maturity to be willing to even uh, talk to God about somebody like that,
yeah.
and stuff. So it's awesome. And this is writing has for you, writing and the style with which you write has become your passion. So much so that you have done something that I have not really heard about very much. You've got 5 books out and they all came out in the same year kind of thing.
Almost, yeah. It's a True Deceit False Love series. I have them behind me here. And there are 5 books. And, I didn't really plan on writing this series, but the first book is actually 15,555 terms and phrases having to do with this family trauma. And it really came out of me doing my own research to try to understand narcissistic personality disordered individuals, or try to understand parental alienation, which was a complete shock to my world. And it would be to any father or any mother that, loses their children based on a false narrative just completely. And in my case, they were adults. So that was even an added kind of, I mean, in some ways it was a better situation because I didn't have to deal with custody and the courts and all of that with regards to the children. But at the other hand, it's kind of shocking because you think 20-year-olds and 25-year-olds and now 30-year-olds would know better. They experienced you as a parent, and it's just shocking. But anyway, I was writing down terms that I didn't know, like gaslighting or stonewalling or golden child or any of these things.
Now, I want to stop you there. I got 2 questions for you. First of all, describe for me what a narcissist is. I keep hearing that term, but I've never seen it like in real practice. So, what is a narcissist?
I'll tell you, there's many different definitions and there's many different types of narcissists. So a narcissist is someone who, in general, that it's all about them, that they don't have empathy, that they really are into control or manipulation or success, however they define it, or attention. They need attention. A big term that's used with narcissists is they need supply, and it always sounded strange at first, but now I really get it. They need, just like a car needs gas or electric now to go, just like our bodies need food to keep going, a narcissist needs supply. They need admiration. They need lots of times they need people below them that will follow their orders, or that they can manipulate and control, that they get something from. But there are many different types of narcissists. And for example, there's a covert malignant narcissist who, that type of person can look wonderful to the public. They wear a false mask. In fact, all of my books, have a person, an abuser, with a mask on their face, and the mask is slipping because at some point the narcissist really exposes themselves for who they really are. Their true colors are shown. It may take years and years and years, but they've snowed so many people, and so many of these people are in high top positions. They can be church leaders, they can be leaders of a school or a social organization. They can they lots of times they're CEOs of companies and the president of this or that, because they really love that that power and control. But the covert malignant, not only do they need that kind of outward persona, which is like a public image, they can be very, very different behind closed doors. In fact, people that have known them for, years, 20 years, 30 years, would never believe that they would ever, be malevolent and have a negative streak. But because they don't see it in the public, they put on a certain kind of face. But if they're covert malignant, they definitely have their source of supply, and many of them have infidelities, both men and women, that, so they have like a harem closet, a harem garage of a number of people that are on the sidelines, just either involved with them while they carry on a double life, a triple life, a quadruple life, or they are just waiting on the sidelines for, when they get the opportunity to hook up or whatever it is. But, they don't have really good intentions, and they know what they're doing. They're not just, shocking themselves by this behavior. They're calculated. In fact, lots of times these type of people will seek you out. They actually have kind of indirectly interviewed you and figured you out before you even got into a relationship with them, let alone a partnership, or, whether it's a work relationship or a marriage, or, something like that. And sometimes these people are actually our family members, that
Sure.
we are conditioned to believe that, family is forever, and they'll always have your back, and, you really are on the same page all the time. But that's not always the case either. And that's a hard realization for people to come to terms with. Hey, wait a minute, maybe it's not a healthy relationship, and maybe I need to step back a little bit and take care of myself. So there's a covert malignant narcissist, but then there's also an overt narcissist. I remember an overt narcissist in my workplace, and this person would just make an appearance every time in the office. You would always know when they were there, and they were loud, and they were constantly needing attention and constantly bragging about themselves. And when other people would try to talk, they would shadow them. And some of these people will actually take credit for work that they did not do, or something like that. I mean, so there's overt narcissism, and there's somatic, and there's spiritual narcissism, and there's, so there's so many different types of narcissism that you can't really give a general definition. And in fact, in my first book, which was in 2019, or that was 2020, with 15,555 terms, I purposely don't put definitions down, because when people look through all these terms and then they try to kind of put the pieces of their own puzzle together, connecting the dots, that type of research actually is very, very healing. And that can help bring awareness and purpose and understanding of what people have gone through. And that's so necessary. I think that if you just provide a simple definition, if someone doesn't completely fit into that definition, then they might just not have a good understanding of what narcissism is.
Well, and I have learned that because narcissism has been described pretty, and your definition by one of our former presidents of late, who was very, very much like that, and stuff. So and powerful people become powerful because they're interested in the praise and the manipulation and the power and all that stuff that they can have and do over other human beings. And
right, but then there's some people that are narcissistic that also have positive qualities, because they did
sure
get to the position of CEO, or leader of this. They got to it with some positive qualities. It's just, so it's hard to kind of define someone in just one way, because we are all multifaceted. So actually some very good can come out of people that have leadership qualities. And
Sure.
there are many people that really need um, a leader to take the reins with whatever, whether it's an organization, a country, or whatever, so they're pros and cons.
Well, now there's a difference between being a leader and being a narcissistic leader, because being a leader means that you're empowering people around you and that you're not taking it for yourself.
Right.
You're doing it for the collective good of all. Whereas a nice narcissist is like, hey, look at me, look what I'm doing, and stuff like that.
Right.
So
But at the same time, like, I am very familiar with, a few covert malignant narcissists that that even though they are all about themselves, they also have the ability to connect with other people and help empower them to grow and to succeed. So really, I do understand, what you're saying, but I think that we need to be very careful about, you know um even with my abuser, like, we were saying, i I have to be very careful, and I think we all should be very careful with just labeling people as this or that, because really there's a people are multifaceted, and I think that, overall they could have more tendencies towards the power and control and the admiration and all that. Um, but I just think we need to look at, yeah, and we need to look at ourselves and where we are at. And I think for us, acknowledging the different personality types and learning about them
oh
and
sure.
and talking about them can help make sense of the world, and it can also help make sense of ourselves and where we fall in that world.
Well, and being judgmental doesn't serve anyone. So just, just people are the way people are. And some of them you'll resonate with and some of you that you won't. And it nor does it matter, because
And
so
I was going to say, Kevin, then you can choose whether you want to be around these people, whether
absolutely.
you want to vote for these people, whether you want to um, continue a relationship with these people or not. So really, then it's up to us to decide who we want to surround ourselves with, or what kind of values do we value. And and in doing so, sometimes you find that your circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller, because you know the older you get, and I loved how you said that, the more seasoned you get, the more you kind of get it, you sort of
Yeah.
understand, and you can make choices like, hey, I need to look out for myself here. And
Well, and when you're a little bit more seasoned,
Mhm.
it's not your first rodeo, and you've been down that road before with other people, and so that you can say, yeah, I've been down that road. I don't need to go down there anymore,
Right,
because it doesn't serve me as well,
right.
and that's
And that can
that-
be so painful. I'll tell you, sometimes leaving, like I actually left a friendship, a lifelong friendship, with someone because of betrayal that was actually going on for years, but that I finally acknowledged. I finally opened my eyes. And again, with these kind of individuals, their mask slips, whether they know it or not, they expose themselves, and the true colors are there. And for years, for many of us, we just ignore those kind of red flags, and we just keep on going because of history with someone, or the connection, or trauma bonding. Actually, there's a lot of trauma bonding that people have with others. And when you start to realize that, and you get to a point where enough is enough, you can even walk away from something like that even without closure. But the pain is there. It's very sad to realize that, that you've been lied to, it's very sad to realize that someone has deceived you, or that has actually gone out of their way to manipulate things, and that ended up causing some devastation in your life. And it's very sad to realize that, but then you have to compartmentalize and realize that's not a reflection on you per se. It's more a reflection on that other person. But you have the choice whether you want to stay in this or not. And I've gotten stronger. My fear has subsided some, where I'm feeling more comfortable in my own skin, and just realizing, hey, there's other people and other situations that bring me joy. And one of the biggest values I have is honesty. And when you are betrayed, when someone is dishonest, and you really know for a fact, multiple occasions where there has been dishonesty, I don't know, it's not for me. I prefer to surround myself with honest people.
I've always had the opinion that people are dishonest because there's a reason for their dishonesty, and it's because they've got another agenda of some kind or another. And I choose, like you, and I make it clear to people. I had just had a conversation with somebody just the other day. I said, I want you to know I value integrity and honesty virtually above everything else.
Mhm.
So if you're going to be dishonest with me or have lack of integrity, we're not going to be together very long.
Right.
So because as I get older, quite frankly, I don't have time for that crap anymore.
No. And it's, and you're further along than I am as far as being able to make that statement to someone. I kind of am doing a little bit more of sitting back and kind of reading the signs, and trying to look beyond possibly a mask that someone is portraying a certain image. Maybe at some point I'll get to the point of feeling more comfortable in expressing myself that way. But I certainly have with my books. And,
Absolutely.
I've been able to, like I did, with that first book of terms in the early on in the 5-book series, and then the 4 other books all came about in a very short time. And one was acrostic poetry. The second book was acrostic poetry, which I have really done my whole life. It's more where you put a term like narcissist, let's say, you put it vertically, but you write terms related to that, or you write a sentence, or you write some feelings or examples, that kind of thing. So the second book is actually, I used every letter of the alphabet. So imagine X and Q, they were kind of hard to do, but I was able to do it. But I wrote 13 acrostic poems for each letter of the alphabet. And I did it, Kevin, in a way that was not like personal or anything. I did it from the perspective of the abuser or the victim or the father or the mother or the child or the grandparent or the boss or the employee. I actually mixed up these kind of poems regarding these different genders and roles, but also um, mixed it up, like some of the poems are informational and some deal with the emotions associated with whatever that particular term is. And so that book actually is the one that most people get, is that acrostic poetry book, because it really kind of spells out in a very kind of creative but very short and simple way to understand, what you've gone through when it comes to any of these, traumatic relationship situations. And then the third book, which is a red book, it is an acrostic poetry survivors workbook. So if other people feel that, hey, writing could be healing for me too, I provide a workbook to help people express their emotions and experiences on paper. And then the fourth book is a free verse poetry book, which was extremely healing for me. And then the fifth book that just came out, I just actually picked it up from the post office just yesterday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it just came out. This, Kevin, is a word search puzzle book. It's, I'm sure people would think, what's going on here? This is kind of all over the place, but it really isn't, because I'm a big one in talking about terms and phrases and understanding. I think language has the power to hurt, but language also has the power to heal. And so this particular book has many different word searches, and the topics have all sorts of related terms to them. And it's just I found personally, when I was in the early stages of understanding that I was a victim, this is before becoming a survivor of domestic violence, I found I needed to, I was in shock, and I was in disbelief, and I was in pain, and but I was also happy that I could recognize what I was going through and get out of it, file for divorce, realize that, hey, I'm done. This is not for me, but I found myself doing crossword puzzles or word searches or jigsaw puzzles, and that actually was very calming for me. It really, really helped me learn the terms. I loved words, and I loved learning, and that was really great for me. So I thought I would incorporate that in my series.
Oh, that's very creative of you. I would have never in a million years would have thought to put the 5 books together in the way that you did. Now, you brought up another term that is a more modern term that but I'm not really familiar. I've never had a definition of it. So since you're into words, I think you could give me one, which is gaslighting. What in the world is gaslighting?
Yeah, that I can give you a definition of. So gaslighting is something that someone intentionally does to another person, where they question, they have them question their reality. Actually, that term gaslighting came from the 1944 movie called Gaslighting. And it was an old time movie where the husband was slowly doing things to make his wife kind of go crazy and question her reality. So he would take her keys and he would move them to another place, and she'd be all over the place looking for her keys for a couple days. And then he knew where he put them, because he took them from where she put them into another undisclosed location. And then he would say, look, I found your keys. They were exactly where you put them, which is all a lie. But, so, and then the gaslighting, why that term came about was because he would slowly turn the gas lights. They didn't have electricity back at that time.
Right.
And he would slowly turn the gas lights down at times, so that she knew she turned it up, but then it would slowly go down. And so that is where that term originated. But in real life, it is where, you are made to believe you're questioning your reality. Your abuser can say to you, you might walk in and see your abuser with having an affair with another person, and your abuser could say to you, this isn't what you are seeing, and but you see it, and they're saying, no, are you going to believe me or your lying eyes? This is not what you think, and you must be believing something strange, or you would realize that they've done something really bad. They might have done something with the money, and you actually caught them doing something, whether it's illegal or immoral or whatever, and you bring it to their attention, and they'll say, no, you're mistaken. That never happened. Well, wait a minute, I have proof right here. No, that's you must be making that up. Or that must be someone else. That's not me. And so what happens is you slowly start questioning yourself. Did I really see that? Did that really happen? And abusers are very skilled at putting you down and belittling you very subtly, so they can slowly isolate you. So you don't, by the time you finally realize what's going on, you don't have your family and friends or neighbors as support system that have known you for all these years, because the abuser can, has slowly worked on them to say, oh yeah, or like the wife could say something like, oh, my husband is in the hospital, he's got mental issues, when really the husband might have been to the hospital because he needed stitches. So he went to the hospital for stitches, but the wife could turn it all around and make it appear that he's mentally unstable, but say to the people, don't say anything to him, because, we don't want to make him, suicidal or feel bad or anything like that. So keep it to yourself, so that these people never say, oh, you were at the hospital, are you okay? When really, someone could be going for stitches, but the narrative has been very calculated and manipulated to discredit an individual. And this happens in the workplace all the time.
Oh, it
Oh,
happened it happened in my house.
yeah. Yep.
And yeah, well, I had no idea that it was called gaslighting, but is exactly what happened. And so I get that. It's human behavior. I would love to study more about human behavior, because I think it's fascinating that somebody goes, see, I'm a simple guy. I don't think in terms of, let's see, if I do this, and if I tell this person this, and then if I do this, and then I can make this person think that they're crazy, and then I don't think like that. I tried, I'm much more simple than that. But
Right. And actually, there's a lot of people that are more simple. And that's why empathetic people like myself, like you, we're it's very hard for us to understand why someone would take the time and put the energy forth to create a narrative and a scenario, all with the intention to hurt another person. I mean, that's, why it's very hard for you to understand, because you don't think like a criminal. When you're not a criminal, you don't think like a criminal. And so these people are very disordered. They're very, very disordered, and they will never get diagnosed, of course,
no,
because they don't think anything is wrong with them. But really, they need our prayers, because they don't need our attention. I don't necessarily need to be involved with them, but I certainly can from a distance pray for them, because they really are living themselves in a false reality, and they're causing so much damage to so many people. And it's just like a train wreck. And they're very unhappy people, and it seems like they move on fast from one relationship to another, because eventually people kind of figure them out, and they realize, yeah, this is not an honest way of living. So really, Kevin, it's a great thing that you do not understand this, because good people should not understand how the mind works of these disordered people that really want revenge and are vindictive, and they live their life calculating their next move, when the rest of us are living our life, and just enjoying it.
that's too damn tiring.
Yeah.
It really, it really is not something that I would advocate anybody do. By the way, we're talking with Dr. Marni Hill Foderaro, and she is the author of 6 books now. The one behind you there, and then the name of the other 5 again. The
True
series,
deceit, false love.
True Deceit, False Love.
Right. And it addresses domestic violence, narcissistic abuse, parental alienation, and intergenerational family trauma.
Not like we have any of that, mind you.
Yeah. But actually, spirituality and family issues and coming into your own and realizing your worth, a lot of it is all very interrelated. In fact, a lot of people um, go through some sort of trauma before some sort of spiritual awakening. And, in a near death experience situation, which I've studied a lot of those, heard many different testimonials, those were very, very life changing. Um, those people actually flatlined. They physically died and had an experience and came back and were compelled to talk about it or write a book or speak on it. Um, I didn't flatline, but I did have that trauma when I left that marriage, and then eventually when I realized that parental alienation was part of my experience, I was just shocked to my core. So the trauma that I had is very much like experiencing a death. And because of the trauma, I think somehow our hearts and minds and spirits become more open to signs and synchronicities, and we do go through a period of self-reflection to figure it all out, and a lot of that can lead towards moving towards spirituality. So I really believe that all of my books are very much related to one another.
And I think you should go get them. You can get them at Barnes and Noble. You can get them on Amazon. And if you're a local bookseller, by the way, I'm kind of like to, because they're kind of a dying breed. If you have a local bookseller that is in your neighborhood, go there and have them order the book so that they can stay in business, because it is one of those things that in the not too distant future, booksellers are not going to be up and down the street anymore. They're not going to be in brick and mortar. So do that, and that would be a moment of kindness that you could do that with somebody, and help them stay in business. You agree with that, by the way?
I think that that's fantastic. And actually, I've never done a book signing at a big box kind of store. They've all been smaller booksellers.
Good for you.
Yeah, and that's, and I've really had some amazing connections with people. And I do book signings all across the nation. I ski every year out west, and so usually within the trip, I incorporate, a book signing there. And where I live, I live in the Caribbean, so I'm in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. So if we want to go anywhere, we end up having to go, for the most part, to Florida. So I've had a number of different, experiences and book signings in Florida, but I do try to support the local people, whether it's a spiritual store or whether it's a bookseller. I just really believe in that as well too. We need to support local.
Absolutely. And so you are in the Virgin Islands.
Yeah, yeah. I'm in.
Your internet connection is fabulous.
Yeah, it's right now it is. I actually live on many acres in the rainforest, so sometimes it can be spotty, but for the most part, it's okay. We do have running water, and we do have some of the amenities, including Wi-Fi. So
Well, but you also get hurricanes on very often.
we do. Yeah. Now I've only lived here 3 years. So, and we went under contract before these two big hurricanes, Irma and Maria. And so luckily, the home that I am currently living in, which will be my forever home, I believe, survived beautifully with the hurricane, even though I'm as high as you can be on top of a hill overlooking the ocean in the rainforest. It's a very solid home, which is great. So, but yeah, we do get storms here. We get a number
Really?
of different things here. In fact, just yesterday I caught my 19th boa constrictor since I've been here.
Oh, that's 19 too many for me.
19 too many, but I actually am getting pretty good at it right now. So, and I do have an appreciation of nature, but I do have a healthy fear of some things as well. So,
Exactly. How big was the boa?
this particular one, I think, was between 4 and 5 feet, but we've caught a 12-footer. Um, Many of them are just 2 feet. So it all depends. I mean, what's great is there's no venom. So if you do get bit, which would be no fun, you wouldn't have poison put in you.
Right.
So that's an added, that's something that, brings me some peace. Although we
Well,
do have centipedes, and they can be. I was bit once by a centipede, and that was extremely painful. That was at least a 2-month recovery.
well, you've just given me 20 reasons why I'm not going there.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, stay where you're at, Kevin. That's fine. I was in the Chicago suburbs for a lifetime, and I loved it there. But when I had all these life changes, I had the opportunity to decide where I wanted to go. And my partner Rick and I have traveled the world together. We really did explore many places, spending a month in India, a month in Thailand, a month in Israel, as well as many long weekends and vacations throughout the United States and Mexico. And we kept on coming back to the Caribbean because we really just love the ocean. We love the sun. We love the fact that we can still be in the United States, but kind of feel like we're in a foreign country. I mean, we drive on the left here. It's very different. And,
Oh my goodness.
yeah. And there's many different, cultures here. And so we kind of really found the place that makes us happy.
Awesome. I'm glad that you've done that, and that you're living your passion, you're living your dream, and your passion is writing books. And if somebody, do you have a website that we can reference?
Yeah, I do. It's actually the title of my spiritual fiction. So www.godcametomygaragesale.com. And
Perfect.
on that website, you can find out about me, my books. I have a happenings section where my latest post will be our interview and our conversation. So I let people know kind of what I've been involved in, and what podcasts. It's been just a joy. I mean, I was thrilled when you reached out and asked me to return on your show, because doing these podcasts to bring awareness to my books or to these topics, they're very enjoyable, and I meet some amazing people, but sometimes I meet extra amazing people. And Kevin, you're one of those.
Oh,
I mean it.
golly.
I mean it. I mean it. And I said that before too. So
And
I,
I really appreciate you and what you're doing, and you're a shining example of living your passion and having a great life. Now, having said that, that doesn't mean your life has been all puppies and rainbows. That it's had its issues, but the thing I want everybody to understand is that you came out the other side.
right. And
And
I think how we handle our challenges, even though I don't have
yes,
my adult children in my life, being a mother still is the biggest joy of my life. And even though I'm not in their day to day and vice versa, I'm still role modeling for them that, you can be handed, some bad situations. But, how you handle these challenges it's very important. You can choose to be negative and, live in self-pity and, you know, turn out to be narcissistic or revengeful yourself. Or you can choose the way I have chosen to live, just happy, and enjoying life, living, understanding, doing the work to understand what I've been through, find my role in it, and, but live a beautiful life. I mean, every day I wake up extremely happy, and I get to do what I love where I love.
and you know what? What's really cool about that is that I like to have people like you on the show, so you're going to have to come back and do this again, so that we can talk more, because you're a shining example of what you can do if you set your mind to it, and you let some of that stuff go, and you live your life completely and fully. And I advocate that, and I appreciate you for that. And in fact, sadly, I can always tell when I've had a good time doing the podcast, because it goes so fast. And I unfortunately have got to wrap it up, but I just want to say thank you so much, and go to your website, which is godcametomygaragesale.com. and you can find out all the information you need to know about her, Dr. Marni Hill Foderaro. And I want to thank you. And go in the yard and catch a snake or two, would you?
I probably will, sometime soon.
Well,
It's inevitable.
Just be careful that you don't get the mama, a big one that's 15 feet or something. That would be awful. So anyway, anything else you'd like to add before we wrap this one up, my dear?
No, just, I'd like to provide your viewers and listeners just with hope. Please be inspired to live your true life and handle whatever challenges come your way just with positivity, honesty, love, goodness, and life will get better. So just, if you're in a dark place right now and you're not feeling so great and your outlook is negative, you have the power to change that. You have the power to decide and choose how you want to respond to any challenges.
I wish I'd have said that myself. That was beautifully said. Thank you so much. And again, go to godcametomygaragesale.com. Find out all you need to know and buy the book. It's a great book. It's been selling really well. So thank you, Doctor. I appreciate you, and I appreciate your time.
All right. Thanks so much, Kevin.
Okay, you wait right there. I'll be right back. Thanks for enjoying this episode all the way to the end. Please give us a like and subscribe to this channel. This has been a production of kmmedia.pro. Please visit our website, oddly enough, named kmmedia.pro, for more details about us and our mission, which is to provide great positive programming designed to inspire us all. I'm Kevin McDonald, and I'm proud of these shows, and I truly hope that you'll like them and share them with friends and family. So on behalf of our entire team, remember, be kind to each other, because each other's all we've got.